On OSRC News at 7, Governor Aiyedatiwa makes new appointments towards enhancing effective governance. Anambra residents vote to elect new governor amid apathy, alleged vote buying. IPOP leader Kanu knows fate on November 20 on terrorism charges against him. And from the foreign scene, Israeli attacks claim 3 lives in Lebanon as EU urges respect for ceasefire.
Good evening and thank you very much for joining us tonight on the news on Osrc television. My name is Oyewumi Ayinigbara. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has approved the appointments of special advisors, director general, senior special assistant, and members of the Ondo State Law Commission. According to a statement by the governor's chief press secretary, Ebenezer Adeniyo, the special advisors are Olugbenga Omole on transport, Gani Mohammed on special duties and strategy, Alan Showere on communication and strategy, Sammy Smarts Francis on entrepreneurship and innovation, Tunji Rema, environment, Mrs. Kikelomo Ikwemola, public affairs and intergovernmental relations, Wali Aladinusi, marine and blue economy, Kolawole Babatunde, legislative and party affairs, and Igbekeli Akinrunwa, local government affairs. The governor also appointed Razak Ube as Director General, Performance and Project Implementation Monitoring Unit, 20 senior special assistants and 1 special assistant. Meanwhile, the governor who had appointed Mr. Femi Okunjemiruwa Chairman, Law Commission, Rotimi Omoshua as member representing Northern Senatorial District, Raymond Ogumuyiru and Oladende Sunday as members representing the Central, and Tokwe Olajube as representative of the Northern District. The governor charged the new appointees to deploy their wealth of experience and best efforts towards the implementation of the East agenda of his administration. The Ondo State government has reaffirmed its commitment to forest restoration and sustainable forestry policies, a requirement by the European Union for creating a viable global market for cocoa trading. Commissioner for Agriculture and Forestry, Olaleye Akinola, made the assertion while briefing newsmen in Akure on the agitation by some cocoa farmers who are asking for a reduction in the level charged by the state government for the purpose. Omoriola Ngbuji tells us more.
In compliance with the European Union Deforestation Regulation Policy, the Ondo State government proposed a framework requiring each farmer operating within forest reserves to pay specific levies. The total amount is 250,000 naira per hectare, 150,000 naira for polygamy mapping, and 100,000 naira for agroforestry activities with a farming permit valid for 5 years. This proposal generated reactions, including an open letter signed by the global president of the Cocoa Farmers Alliance Association of Africa, Adeola Adegoke, appealed to Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa for a downward review of the levies, citing the negative effects on smallholders farmers.
Doing that
At a press briefing, Commissioner for Agriculture and Forestry, Olaleye Akinola, explained the importance of the government's decision. He explained that the 250,000 naira had already been subsidized and would only be paid once, aimed at restoring the depleted forest reserves and positioning Ondo State as a model for sustainable cocoa production in Nigeria. He added that mapping and monitoring activities are already ongoing, with the government partnering accredited firms using advanced technology for farm traceability. Mr. Akinola also announced that all yearly revenue collections have been suspended until next year to ease farmers' participation in the ongoing registration and compliance exercise. According to him, any farmer who fulfills all necessary conditions will retain access to the forest forever.
Target of the European Union is to make sure that the depleted forest is also reforested, that is afforestation. You understand? So we have to do what we call agroforestry. And these farmers, if we don't tell the European Union that the state government is taking conscious, tight effort to make sure that we plant the trees, and the trees as well survive with the cocoa or whatever crop in our forest area, then they will not allow, they will not buy this cocoa from the farmers. So we are making the step, and we need to nurse these trees. We need to give to the farmers. We need to devise a means to make sure they plant, and as well, we also map each farmer, identify each farmer to his particular farm.
The commissioner revealed that the government is preparing a new legislation to be forwarded to the House of Assembly, which will categorize forest areas into 3 distinct zones: the core zone, the sustainability zone, and the buffer zone.
We as a state government, we are trying to protect them. We are trying to legislate to make sure we take necessary steps for them to sustain their livelihood, even in the forest area, the reserve area, and as well make sure that we also sustain the environment. What is hazardous to us is what the trees use to produce fruits, to germinate a lot of, so that they germinate, they move this away from the atmosphere because it's hazardous. Then they give us oxygen, which is also very much important for us to continue to live. We want to come up with this legislation and take it to the House of Assembly, Ondo State House of Assembly, that they pass it into law. The 40% of cocoa in Nigeria is being produced in the state. So we want to retain that position, and we want to as well increase.
The commissioner reiterated that the Ayedatiwa's administration remains fully committed to balancing economic growth with environmental sustainability, assuring that all genuine farmers will receive government support throughout the transition process. Omoriola Humbeji, Osrc News.
Anambra governorship candidates have elected widespread vote buying during today's election. Governor Chukwuma Soludo cast his vote at polling unit 002, Umweze Digo Street, in his hometown, Usuofia, Agwata local government area, while the All Progressives Congress candidate, Mr. Nicholas Okachuku, cast his vote at polling unit 012, Umudila Hamaye All, Osumei in Nnewi South local government area of the state. Also, the Labour Party's governorship candidate, Dr. George Mogalu, cast his vote at Uruagu Ward 1 in Nnewi. There were reports of voter apathy in some polling units, while allegations of vote buying also characterized the election in certain areas.
I think you all witnessed the voting here. Before I came, of course, as you know, today is the election day. And as always, you'll be getting calls from all across the state. And I have been doing so. I've been receiving numerous calls from across the entire state. I think one way to say it is that it's been relatively very peaceful and going on smoothly.
This just a proof that actually I'm qualified to be voted for. And then it feels good to be part of a process that will move this state forward. Not because I'm the one running as a candidate of APC, but because I'm an Anambra citizen with a full right to vote and voted for. So I'm happy to be here to vote.
The detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, will know his fate on the terrorism charges brought against him by the federal government on November 20. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja announced the date after Kanu failed to open his defense, having exhausted the 6 days allocated to him by the court to present his case. Justice Omotosho held that since Kanu failed to utilize the opportunity granted to him to conduct his defense, he could not claim to have been denied his constitutionally guaranteed right to a fair hearing. Meanwhile, Kanu also filed a motion challenging his trial on the ground that terrorism was no longer an offense in the country. Kanu maintained that there was no case to answer and urged the court to dismiss the charges and allow him to go home. You're still watching Osrc News, and when we come back, we bring you more stories. Please don't go away.
One soft voice could dey darkness with a kulele promise. It could calm your feet them. You fit smoke up, you fit smoke up, you fit sniff up. The first drag they hit, but the addiction no be play oh. It could first scatter your body. Your mind it could come follow. It could dabaru your work, your future, even your money. Yeah, but no forget oh, help dey. No give up. You fit break cycle with correct help and better support. You fit overcome am. Reach out for better future. Na Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) say make a young give una. Say no to drugs. NDDC, 25 years of making a difference.
Thank you very much for rejoining us. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at Osrc TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel Osrc TV Ondo. The former Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development in Ondo State, Prince Sholagbadi Amodeni, has been commended for his courage, integrity, and entrepreneurial drive. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa gave the remark during the commissioning of the Golden Garden Event Center and Vault in Akure. Aiyedatiwa said Amodeni's contributions to governance and private enterprise have positively impacted the state. Government House correspondent Wahab Bankole completes the story.
Governor Aiyedatiwa, the dignitaries and well-wishers to the official commissioning of the Golden Garden Event Center and Votes in Akure, a private facility built by the state's former Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Prince Sholagbadi Amodeni.
In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
The ceremony was also used to mark the 70th birthday of the former chairman of Akoko Southeast local government area of the state.
20, 30, 40, 50, and a glorious 70. Happy birthday, sir.
In separate messages of goodwill, some dignitaries at the event, including the former governor of the state, Olusegun Mimiko, Kola Ademujimi, and Olugbenga Ali, among others, applauded the strides of the celebrants.
That we have achieved this today is promoting public policy in those states. Because of him, a lot of us who were politicians of the younger generation were able to support Babadi Party.
When we were forming the Alliance for Democracy, he was one of the few young men I youth.
I got to be close to Shona on the Adifrati project. I wanted to run. We had our own master plan to win at the primary. But this man was, I counted 40 times when he came to me, thinking that we should support Bani Frati. But I said, we are a young man. You don't think he will live long? I be assured he will live long. Let's support him. There was no tactics he did not use. He eventually twisted and did everything. Eventually, I decided to join him.
Governor Aiyedatiwa, who congratulated Amodeni on his 70th birthday, said his life is a testimony of resilience and purpose. The governor described him as a selfless leader and a man of conviction who had demonstrated excellence in both governance and business.
And we met during academic struggle, and we were part of activity. Together we worked, and we were able to return NCN, so rest in peace. That was when I met him. And we worked together. He is a very principled person. Not only when he believes that he do all out to ensure that that which he believes in is executed with so much courage. By the time he's done with you, he will quit. The moment he begins to see some traces of what he doesn't like. I remember during my political ordeal, and some people gathered up that I should be impeached. I did not invite Shola Kwede Amodele. I did not speak to him. Neither did I invite him to come and join me to support me. He took it upon himself.
Governor Aiyedatiwa described the newly commissioned facility as a significant addition to Akure's infrastructural landscape, combining an event center with a private cemetery. Wahab Bankoli, Osrc News.
Mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression are among the leading causes of disability globally. They affect people of all ages and backgrounds, influenced by factors ranging from genetics and drug use to daily stress, social pressure, and economic hardship. Experts say these factors can shape how we think, feel, and live. Osrc's Adewumi Taiwo reports.
Nearly 1 billion people worldwide struggle with mental health conditions, and 1 in 6 people will experience a mental health disorder during their lifetime. Statistics shows that anxiety disorder alone affects over 301 million people globally. Experts identify multiple causes of the growing mental health crisis, including genetic predisposition, substance abuse, trauma, prolonged stress, unemployment, financial instability, and social isolation. According to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Ondo State, Dr. Ayotunde Adeniran, economic crisis is one of the major factors contributing to mental health challenges. He emphasized that individuals should learn to live within their means to reduce stress and anxiety.
Let's take it easy. Take it in this easy means that yes, the economy is there. The economic factors are obvious to every one of us. There are things we can do to change our fortune. There are things we can do to improve our economic situation. But there are things that are beyond individuals, that are based on government policies. But the impact of whatever you do or whatever government does will rub on our mental health. Therefore, the first thing is that live according to what you earn, according to your means. Don't go beyond it. Don't compare yourself with anyone. Ensure that you visit hospitals, you take enough rest, and whether you think you become so stressful or so depressed, please don't shy away from visiting hospital.
A psychologist, Oritoke Okeowo, described mental health as a universal human experience, noting that being mentally ill does not mean being mad.
Once you say mental health, a lot of people in the community believe that you're talking about madness or psychosis, and there's a lot of stigma attached to that. So the society is afraid of being tagged as being mentally unstable. So they believe that it's just about, oh, once they say I'm not mentally stable, then that means I'm mad. So you find a lot of people not even wanting to hear about it. So even it's as bad as you're talking to somebody and you say, I'm a mental health advocate, I get this a lot. And people are like, oh, you're dealing with the mad people. And I'm like, no, that's not what it's all about, in totality. So there's that stigma in the environment. And of course, this is coming from the fact that there is lack of awareness and there's lack of education in this line. So people really don't have the understanding, the basic understanding of what mental health is and, all the things that surround it. And also, when we say mental health, if in our regular society we have very good access to mental health services, then people would not feel stigmatized. Or people would they can associate with it. The way we say let's have churches every 5 minutes drive, or let's have hospitals in every community. If we are having these mental health services all around us, it becomes a regular thing amongst us, and then people can feel very, very comfortable with it.
She advised Nigerians to watch out for early signs such as persistent sadness, loss of interest in activities, or withdrawal from people. Another respondent, Sulaiman Olaleye, gives further insight into the meaning, causes, and possible solutions to mental health crisis.
Every problem there's always always 1001 solution. Where medically, the medical expert have explained that if you have any ailment, we have mental ailments, we have body ailments. So like mental stress is one of it, depression is one of mental ailments. They should consult medical attention. So there is always medical solutions to some of these problems. So you may have to to go through rehabilitation. So and that's what they do in most cases. When someone has mental health, the person will have to go through rehabilitation. You have to study what causes those things. Try to reshape that person to live a like an antidote, inculcate the habit of ensuring the rest, take enough rest. We should always love inculcate the habit of taking healthy food. There's a difference between healthy food and expensive food. Some food are expensive, they are not healthy. So when you take healthy food, the majority of healthy food are not expensive.
Experts believe that understanding the numbers and the human stories behind them, society can work towards creating a more supportive and inclusive environment for everyone. Adewumi Taiwo, Osrc News.
The Nigerian Association of Medical and Dental Academics NADMA at the Ladoke Akintola University of Technology branch has faulted the university management's recent statement on the consolidated medical salary structure (COMMES) and rejected the proposed implementation deferred to July 2026, nearly 19 months after negotiations began. The association also said the recent protests by medical students at Lautech are not due to NADMA's militancy, but are direct consequences of management's failure to implement COMMES and fulfill earlier promises. On November 7, 2025, Lautech management, in a statement on X, announced a formal commitment to COMMES implementation from the November 2025 salary cycle, with full implementation by July 2026. The Lautech management added that the decision, however, triggered a protest by the university's medical students. The management urged staff, students, parents, and the public to remain calm while calling on NAMDA to reconsider its stance in the interest of students and the future of medical education at the university. The Nigerian Customs Service said that it had intercepted a tanker loaded with 60,000 liters of petrol suspected to have been diverted to a border area in Katsina State. The national coordinator of the task force, Kola Oladiji, disclosed this while handing over the tanker to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority in Katsina. According to him, the success was recorded as part of the decisive move to curb the smuggling of petroleum products and enforce national energy regulations in the country. Oladiji reaffirmed the NC's commitment supporting government directives against fuel smuggling and ensuring that all petroleum products meant for domestic consumption remain in the country. He further affirmed the commitment of the task force to fight against smuggling, economic sabotage, and all acts capable of undermining the nation's energy distribution framework. 3 students of the Lagos State University of Science and Technology have died, while 7 others sustained varying degrees of injuries in a motor vehicle collision along the power line junction inward Ikorodu roundabout area of Lagos State. In a statement confirmed by the spokesperson for the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, Adebayo Taufik, the accident occurred after the driver of a sand-laden truck lost control due to brake failure and rammed into other vehicles along the busy corridor. According to him, the impact of the collision resulted in a devastating loss of lives, while several others were critically injured. Taufik added that emergency responders, including officials of LATSMA, the Federal Road Safety Corps, and the police rescued the injured victims and took them to a nearby hospital. Reacting to the incident, the general manager of LATSMA, Olalekan Bakarioke, commiserated with the families of the deceased student and wished the injured victims a speedy recovery. The youth wing of the Christian Association of Nigeria has threw its weight behind United States President Donald Trump's claim that Christians are being systematically targeted and killed in Nigeria. Speaking during the National Youth Fellowship Convention held in Abuja, the National Secretary of Yowikan, Elijah Bako, also welcomed this proposed intervention, saying it is a timely wake-up call to authorities rather than an assault on national sovereignty. In his address, Bako lamented that the wave of killings, kidnappings, the razing of churches, and forced displacement of Christian communities in parts of the North and Middle Belt had reached what he called a breaking point. Bako said Trump's remarks on terrorism and genocide in Nigeria should push Nigerian leaders to interpose and not react defensively. According to him, attacks in Plateau, Benue, Nasarawa, Kaduna, Taraba, and Adamawa states are not sporadic, but part of a deliberate pattern to erase Christian presence from the region. Meanwhile, a United States lawmaker, Riley Moore, has introduced a congressional resolution condemning the alleged persecution of Christians in Nigeria and expressing support for President Donald Trump's effort to address the crisis. In a post on his verified X handle, Moore said the resolution filed in the House of Representatives on Friday entitled Condemning the Persecution of Christians in Nigeria and standing ready to support President Donald Trump in taking decisive action to end the essential threat that persecuted Christians face in Nigeria was submitted and referred to the relevant House committee. The lawmaker, who chairs the investigative committee set up by Trump to probe the alleged persecution of Christians in Nigeria, described the West African nation as the deadliest place in the world to be a Christian, as more than 7,000 Christians have been killed in 2025 alone, translating to 35 murders each day, while between 50,000 and 100,000 Christians have been killed since 2009. Citing the murder of Father Sylvester Okechukwu on Ash Wednesday earlier this year, Moore insisted the killings were not random acts of violence, but targeted jihadist attacks. Moore faulted President Bola Tinubu for denying the existence of religious persecution, quoting his September 2025 statement that there is no religious persecution in Nigeria. Israeli forces has escalated daily attacks in Lebanon, flooding a one-year-old truce while claiming it's targeting Hezbollah without providing evidence. Despite the November 2024 truce, Israel has continued near-daily attacks on its northern neighbor while maintaining forces in areas around the south. Hezbollah maintains that it remains committed to the truce, but insists it will not disarm while Israel occupies Lebanese territory and continues its attacks. The European Union condemned recent Israeli strikes and called for immediate adherence to the ceasefire. And with that story from the foreign scene, we conclude the news tonight, but before we go, a quick look at the top stories. We told you that the governor of Ondo State, Dr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa, has approved a batch of new appointments aimed at driving its administration's ease agenda. The Anambra State governorship election has been characterized by allegations of widespread vote buying amid reports of voter apathy in certain areas. And we told you that the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has been scheduled to receive judgment on the terrorism charges filed against him by the federal government on November 20. And that's the news tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Good evening.